Hello, welcome back. Eddie Radosevich, George Stoia here, Instant Reaction, SoonerScoop.com YouTube channel. All is right. OU wins 69-45 today. A incredible performance for OU offensively, George, and I think that's probably the best way to start. Didn't know who the quarterback was going to be going into the game. Dylan Gabriel takes the opening snap, and the rest is history. Kind of a weird week. I mean, obviously the Friday game, all of that kind of stuff, but a really, really solid performance offensively today for Oklahoma.
Yeah, we didn't know who the quarterback was going to be. We might not know who the offensive coordinator is going to be going forward. We'll get into that in a second, but Dylan was fantastic today. What a way to go out for him. And I know in the post game he was asked about maybe coming back, and he said, I haven't really thought about it. I'm pretty positive he will not be playing at Oklahoma anymore. So he goes out in style. I thought his deep ball was especially really good today, other than the interception, in which I think it got a little bit caught up in the wind. But they were throwing it all over the yard. They were able to move the ball pretty much at will all day. Had to settle for a couple of field goals. But other than that, I mean, you put up 62 points. There's nothing really to complain about. So great for him. Drake Stoops goes out with a touchdown. He was really good too, especially on when it was starting to get a little bit tight there in the third quarter. Drake Stoops was really the one that put together that one drive, and then obviously gets into the end zone. So really great day offensively for Oklahoma.
It was really weird because it felt like such a comfortable lead at halftime. You have the multiple touchdown lead going into intermission, but then you come back out. The third quarter, I think the word that Brent Venables used was abysmal defensively. An abomination. I knew it started with an A.
Yeah.
It was pretty shitty. But when Oklahoma did need to move the ball, get back in rhythm offensively, they had the big 4th and 1 call, and DG pulls it. Ended up going for, I think, 30, 40 yards, and that kind of, I think, settled everybody back in a little bit.
I mean, going down and scoring a touchdown there was huge, and then you also get the field goal later in the game on the other drive, but the 4th and 1, to go for it, they run a little speed option play. Dylan does a great job of faking the pitch and then keeping it, breaking off, and again, the offense, when they wanted to go score, they went and scored, and that's one thing that OU's done pretty well this year on offense, especially at home, is when they needed to. They went and gone scored, other than the losses to OSU and Kansas. So they were really, really good. It was the other side of the ball that was just, honestly, Eddie, at times terrible. The third quarter, I think they gave up 22 points. TCU scored on every single possession they had in the third quarter. They were gashing them in the run game. They were hitting them over the middle on some slants and stuff. It was really, really bad, and it makes you wonder what's kind of gone wrong with the defense, because it's really regressed the last couple of weeks now. When you look at the BYU game, I think Danny Stutzman has really kind of struggled the last 2 weeks. As good as he's been all year, he's kind of struggled down the stretch here. Billy Bowman kind of saves him there with the pick six to kind of cover up what was a bad day. So
yeah, let's talk about Billy Bowman. Yet again, another terrific performance, another pick six there in the fourth quarter to really kind of put the nail in the coffin for TCU. He's been unbelievable. I don't think that we probably talk about enough how good he's been. We've talked about it on the Unofficial 40, just in terms of, we talked about it this past week, just in terms of how big that would be to get him to come back next year. He was asked about it after the game, gave the answer that I think everybody would have expected, hasn't really thought about it, or at least wasn't ready to disclose what his future is going to be. But another incredible performance. Now 6 interceptions on the year, and the 3 pick sixes that is a school record.
Yeah, I mean, I thought 2 would maybe be the school record, but for him to do that, pretty incredible. And I tweeted it out after the pick six is OU needs to do whatever it takes to get him back next season, because he is a first-team All-American type player back there at safety. He's been incredible. And, Eddie, I think we've always seen it with Billy. It's just been he's kind of dealt with injuries early in his career. This is the first year that he's really been healthy, and he's just been spectacular. And you have a guy like that in your back end of your defense, you're going to be pretty good. So I hope they can get him back, because if they can, you're talking about, I think, a really good defense next year. And again, a guy that the last 2 weeks now has really stepped up in big spots for him.
It's kind of crazy to think about it. The regular season's over. Now Oklahoma's going to be doing a bunch of scoreboard watching. I think everybody that is probably watching this knows exactly what needs to happen. If you get a Texas loss tonight, you need Iowa State to go to Manhattan tomorrow night and play in the snow and get out of there with a win. Or you can just become big Mormons.
Yeah.
That's Mormon fans, that is, and cheer for BYU against Oklahoma State Saturday afternoon in Stillwater. Just as far as getting to that 10th win, I know that's something we've talked about quite a bit. It seemed like it was very important to get not necessarily over the hump, but I think that, just being able to get to that double-digit victory or win total for the season, it's a positive moving forward. And if they don't play in a Big 12 championship, they'll obviously have a bowl game coming up, destination unknown. But at the same time, I know those 2 weeks in Lawrence and Stillwater, it sucked. It sucked to see Oklahoma lose in the fashion that they did, but all is well. I mean, you did get to double-digit victories, which I think at the beginning of the season, we had all talked about. That was almost a priority, that they needed to get to that 9 or 10 win total.
Yeah, look, they took care of business. And the expectation in Oklahoma is a lot higher than winning 10 games, sure. Right? The expectation is to compete in the college football playoff, win a Big 12 championship, next year compete in the SEC, go to a college football playoff. But when you consider where this thing was just last year, this time last year, they're losing to Texas Tech in double overtime or whatever it was. Now they turn around and they're winning 10 games. That's a step in the right direction. Is it, a massive step in the right direction? Maybe not. But again, this thing was a far cry from what it is now. And I think that that's what you can take away. And you even look at the 2 losses, and this is what makes it so frustrating. They were so close to winning those games. I mean, you're a handful of plays, and I hate saying that because the plays didn't happen, but you're a handful of plays away from being undefeated, sure. And going to the Big 12 title game with a really good...
It's crazy, but it's true.
Yeah, and that's the thing that you have to take away and say, man, they're really close to being a really good football team. And you look out there senior day, they're losing a handful of guys, no doubt about it. You look at Drake Stoops, what he's meant to the program, he's going to be missed. Dylan Gabriel, what he's done this year, coming in last year when they really needed him, he's been great. Woody Washington has been as solid as they come at corner. But they also got a lot of guys coming back. You look out there, a lot of PJ Adebawore today.
A ton today.
Peyton Bowen played a lot today. Kip Lewis, Jaron Kanik, Danny Stutzman, if he comes back. You've got a lot of guys that were contributors on this football team that sees what it looks like, that could be back here in Norman next year, that could really get this thing going.
Really cool send-off for Dylan Gabriel, as well as Drake Stoops. His final possession will go for a touchdown, and it almost seems fitting that that's how that ends for him. Yep. And I'm sure that, you wrote the article talking to Bob and all the uncles. I'm sure that they were extremely proud to see kind of just the way that this thing ended for him.
I mean, it was awesome. And, I was watching Bob down there on the field. I don't think he shed a tear. Drake didn't speak with us after the game. I wonder if that was, maybe he thought he might get emotional speaking with the media. I'm not sure. He doesn't owe us anything. He's been so good the last 6 years. He's been great with the media. So really cool to see him. I was talking about in the press box, I was like, man, it would just be awful if he doesn't walk out of here with a touchdown today. Yeah. I think he's going to be first team all Big 12, 10 touchdowns receptions this year. I think it's the most in the league right now. He'll probably get it tied by someone else, but I think that he's a guy that's going to go out on top, man. I mean, he's been special this season and really the last 6 years, and a guy that not only a great player on the field, but somebody they absolutely needed in their locker room.
No doubt about it. You talk about maybe manifesting that touchdown for Drake there in the fourth quarter. Oklahoma's going to need some help. They're going to have to manifest a little bit of their future here over the next 24 hours with everything that is in doubt in the Big 12. There's also some questions, I guess some doubt or whatever you want to call it, with Jeff Lebby as offense coordinator. There's reports all out there, with Mississippi State. And, I think we've talked about those connections with Zach Selman, the former lieutenant AD here in Norman, is obviously the athletic director down in Starkville. What is just kind of your read? I know that you've put something up on the Crimson Corner, just kind of in terms of everything that happened after the game, and you asked Brent about it. Just kind of your general read on, is Jeff Lebby going to be around as Oklahoma's offense coordinator in a year?
He's definitely a serious candidate. That much I will say. He's interviewed for the job. He interviewed on Wednesday for the job, from what I understand. I know a couple people have reported that out there, but I have confirmed that he interviewed for the job. And then he was asked about, I asked Brent straight up after the game about it, and he said, look, I'm always supporting my guys for opportunities. I'm always, there for what, however I can be. And then said, but I want their focus to be on the right now, and that's, obviously competing maybe for a Big 12 championship next week and all that. And then Jeff was asked about it, and he said, there's a time and place for all that. He's focused on the right now. So, again, no denial there. Look, he's up for the job. That is for sure. He is a candidate. I've been told he's not been offered the job yet. We'll see if that changes in the next, 24, 48 hours. It seems like this thing might be moving somewhat quickly. Look, we'll see. That's all I know right now. Nothing is done. There's no, nothing's been written in contract. Again, nothing's been offered. For what I understand,
it doesn't seem imminent, But it also, if you woke up on Sunday
real.
morning or Saturday morning and go, Jeff Lebby's headed to Mississippi, you'd go, oh, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. It wouldn't surprise me. It also wouldn't surprise me if they go in a different direction. Sure. I know that they've interviewed several candidates for the job, and he's just one of them, and it just makes it's an easy connection, right? Like you mentioned, Zach Selman, obviously he was a part of the hiring process to hire Jeff. He was still at OU when they hired Brent Venables and was in on those interviews to hire Jeff, so he knows him well. It makes sense that he would be on the list of candidates. But again, we'll see. This thing does seem to be moving fast, and some of it probably also depends, hey, is Oklahoma playing next week? That could always put some things on hold.
We'll see. We'll see if Oklahoma's playing next week in a Big 12 championship. But for now, kind of all the hay's in the barn, if you will. Oklahoma wins 69-45 today in what was a little bit of a Big 12 throwback, if you will, the final Big 12 home game here in Norman. We've appreciated everybody joining us throughout the year. I can't believe that the instant reactions, we only got one more for sure, and that would be after a bowl game. But it is a successful season. Oklahoma gets to the 10 victory total, and we'll see from here.
How about hoops?
Oklahoma Ratty Children's champions, folks. They do come from behind at halftime and win in San Diego today to improve to 6-0. And I think that we're going to be talking about a team that's in the top 25 come this week.
Crazy.
Following a victory over a top 20 team in USC. So really nice performance. It was something that we had talked about quite a bit going into this week is, how much of a test it was going to be against Iowa and then USC. So we shall see. We'll check in on some OU hoops, though, later on next week. If Oklahoma's not playing in the Big 12 championship, maybe we will, even if they are. So for George Stoia, I'm Eddie Radosevich. We will talk to you on Monday on Soonerscoop.com's YouTube channel.